Hello and welcome to Issues and Insights, the show that keeps you up to date on all the great things taking place in our community. I'm your host, Kendra Scott, and we're thrilled you could join us today. Have you ever thought, gosh, I wish there was a place where I could find all the resources I need, have my questions answered, just kind of know what's going on in our community and where to get the help that you need when you need it? Well, you're in luck. After much time and research, there is now a brand new Hardin County Resource Guide created by a wonderful group called COPE. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, how it all came to be and all the different issues and resources that it covers with the one and only Miss Sarah Zegray. I love saying that. It's very France. She is the director of the Center for Behavioral Health here in Elizabethtown, as well as the co-chair of the Community-Oriented Prevention and Education Committee, known as COPE. So welcome, Miss Sarah.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we are thrilled to have you, and I'm excited personally just because there's always a huge need for people to know what resources are here, what do you have, how can you help folks, and they don't always know where to turn. So this guide is going to be a game changer, and I've seen it in other communities, and it's great for people that come to our community that aren't familiar with our resources. So talk a little bit about what was the initiative behind putting together. Well, first tell us about COPE and what COPE is, and then we'll talk a little bit about how this all came to be.
Okay. Well, COPE came from the CORE grant, the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort, and it's a subset of another committee. It is the, the Hardin County Committee for Opioid Response. And our goal was just to help to prevent underage drinking, smoking, alcohol use, and substance use in the community, and how could we best do that? And what we did was, back in 2019, we all got together, several people from the community, different organizations, to decide what would be the best way for us to affect change in the community. And what we decided was that we needed a comprehensive resource guide in the community. We all had different resources that we knew about, but nothing was ever laid down. And we decided that it would be best served to help the community because there's so many people out there who need assistance. And a lot of it is unemployment due to substance abuse related issues. And we felt like if we could help people with those kinds of things, that we could meet our objectives.
That's great. So how prevalent is substance abuse in our community?
Well, it's definitely grown. I've been working in substance abuse field for 11 years, and what started out as a narcotic medication abuse became a heroin issue, and now fentanyl and overdose issue. And I think with 2020, we really did see that, because as things started to shut down, we started to see an increase in overdose deaths. So one of the things that we did add to the resource guide was for people who have no experience with substance use, how to identify and help someone with an overdose. That was one of the most important things we did put in the guide.
Oh, that's really important, because people often don't know, or they think maybe it's something else and not sure. So who's all collaborated to put this together?
Well, COPE is many different organizations. Lincoln Trail District Health Department is one of the main organizations that we've been working with. Communicare is another. And then just community representatives from all over the place. I mean, I'd hate to start naming some in this city because they've all been so helpful and in this effort for sure.
Well, and that's the good thing, is because that's obviously what it takes. So, so tell us a little bit about the guide. What types of resources are in there, and who are they for?
Well, like I said, we did want to focus on substance abuse related issues, but we didn't want to only have substance abuse related issues involved in the guide. So there's resources, everything from online resources to phone resources, United 211, which came out a few years ago, where anybody in Kentucky can dial 211 from their phone and access any resource. So that's always available. But we've got stuff for veterans, stuff for the elderly, low-income housing, food banks, along with substance abuse treatment options. A lot of people, when they start to have an issue with a substance abuse issue with a family member, they don't know where to start. They don't know if they need to be going inpatient, or what's medication-assisted treatment, or what kinds of counseling can I get for my son or daughter who's just started dealing with marijuana issues. And so we made sure that we included everything. And we even have things about recreational options for the county. So we didn't want to leave anything out.
Yeah, so it sounds extremely thorough, and that it covers pretty much all ages and generations.
Absolutely.
So how long did it take you all to put all that together? Because that is a lot of work.
Well, I could say it took about 2 years from the inception of it to actually getting our first printing.
That's amazing.
And it's still a work in progress. We're finding things that we're missing now that people are starting to hear more about it. They're reaching out and saying, hey, put me in the guide. Hey, we've got resources. So I think we'll have the next printing by next year.
Oh, good. Yeah, because that's what I was thinking was how will you keep it updated as new? We hear about new programs all the time. So is that falling on your shoulders to be the person?
It is, but I really don't mind it. I love hearing about new resources in the community. It's something that I have a passion for. So I'm very excited to be able to continue this throughout the years.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, do you have, like you said, it was a grant. So were there grant monies and sponsorship that made this possible to print and distribute and all that sort of thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the core grant really made this possible for us to be able to do this. And that is why we will be able to hopefully continue to print this out every year with additions to it. This is the Hardin County Resource Guide. This is the print version. But we also have an online digital version that's available for free to anyone. Of course, this is free too. But if you go to our Facebook page or our Instagram pages, you can access that for free printed out. And we do encourage people to spread the word about it.
Oh, heavens, yes. So where will these, where can folks access them? Where will they be located?
Well, right now we're passing them out to the case managers, the therapists, the doctors, just trying to get them in the hands of the schools, the career counselors. So those print copies will probably be all gone within the next month or so. But as we continue to print those out, they will probably be available at Lincoln Trail District Health Department for pickup. They're also available at Center for Behavioral Health for pickup. But honestly, it'd be best if you get that digital version. You can print it out. You have access to it on your computer. We always want people to have access to that.
Yeah, and I think that's the era that we live in. A lot of folks are just doing that. But I think about our seniors and maybe folks that aren't tech savvy, and they like me, I like hard copies of things to flip pages. So that's wonderful. They'll have that option. So
absolutely.
Yes. So can you tell me what is the website that folks can check out? Is there a particular website they go to, or?
Well, we have it on Facebook.
Okay, cool.
It's the Hardin County Community for Substance Abuse Resources. It's kind of a long name.
Yeah.
And that is where we have most of them going out right now. Lincoln Trail District Health Department also has a link on their website.
Perfect.
Center for Behavioral Health has a link on their website as well. So there's lots of ways to contact us. And the guide also has my email, so if anyone wants to add resources to the guide, feel free to email me at any time.
Yes, and we know that they're going to want to do that. Or there are things that you learned or discovered or didn't know as you were putting this together?
Oh, absolutely. As I was reaching out to people in the community, I found out that there were so many more sober living homes than I knew about here, that there was resources with my gosh, there's just so many things. The elderly, veterans. As I was doing my research, finding out about different recreational sites and stuff, Hardin County has so much to offer, and that was one of the things that I really kind of sparked my interest in putting this together. Hardin County has so many resources, and they're like little known factoids, you know, to just certain people. And so to be able to offer that to the community, I really think we need to take more advantage of what we've got here. Yes,
because you look at other counties and other regions of the state, and they don't have half the resources that we do. So we are really, really blessed here, but it's all a matter of, do people know about it?
Absolutely.
So that's the point. So we're glad that you're here to share that. So did you find in doing your research, though, are there areas that are lacking and are missing pockets and resources that we do need that we don't have?
I did discover a few things that I felt like we could grow to. And I had in one of the earlier versions of the resource guide had tried to list those things to kind of get people, hey, I could do that. But we did end up taking that out. But there are things that we're still working on. For example, one of the things I'd like to see happen in Hardin County is to have a needle exchange program. We have needle exchange programs in surrounding counties, but we don't have one here. And I'd really like to see that happen in the next year or so.
Okay, and I've heard rumblings that it's in the works or possibility. At least research is being done, and comparisons and that sort of thing. So, anything else that seems to be a need in our community?
Honestly, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I know that there was just a few things that, let's say, Louisville or some of the bigger cities have to offer. But we have so many surrounding counties that partner with Hardin County that even if it's not directly in Hardin County, there's access to these things outside of here.
So what do you say to those people when they say, there's nothing going on in Hardin County? We don't have anything. There's nothing to do. You know, how do you respond to that?
Well, you don't know it's here until you know it's here, and we've got it. And there are people that are dedicated to making Hardin County better, to the programs that are available. My children and I have been here for many years, and we've been involved in all kinds of things over the years. And people just don't know they're here.
Right. They just have
we have it.
Yeah. Seek and ye shall find. Type of thing. Well, and talk a little bit about, you did say there are lots of sober living homes and there's lots of resources, because I know it's your background is substance abuse. So talk a little bit about how substance abuse is being addressed in our community, what resources are there, and how folks are working to help alleviate some of the issues with substance abuse.
Well, you know, back in 2010, when Center for Behavioral Health opened up, a lot of people didn't really think that we had a substance abuse problem here. Over the years, it's been more identified. Of course, the opioid epidemic has helped to identify that there is a real problem. And I think that opened up a lot of programs that weren't here previously. We have programs from entry level, like identifying a problem for, let's say, a teenager. We have programs for intensive outpatient treatment or counseling. We have inpatient programs. Community organizations are popping up here in Hardin County quicker than I can keep up. I could name them off: Journey Pure, Communicare, CBH. They're all over the place, and I think people are really taking this seriously. No one with a substance abuse problem should have to go without knowing what to do about it at this point. There are resources out there, and there are lots of dedicated people who want to help.
I agree.
Yeah, and the great thing is, you know, no one program is for everyone. And because there's so many different programs, and because we all work together so well, if you call one program and it's not the right fit, they're going to connect you with someone who is.
And that's the great thing, too, that you all are all interconnected and have that relationship, again, that sense of collaboration to get folks the help that they need. So what would you recommend is the first step? Like you said, substance abuse, a lot of times it might catch a family off guard, something they've never dealt with. If someone feels that they have an issue or someone in their family has an issue, what is the very first step that they should take?
Well, I think that they need to be honest and open with it in their family, for one. A lot of times people have an issue and they're just not ready to get the help they need. But once a family member is involved, I would say talk to your local physician, talk to your local mental health provider. They're going to be able to connect you. Again, try 211, try the resource guide, the health department. These people know what's going on, and they're going to be able to connect them with the resources they need.
That's great, because I think there's still obviously that stigma surrounding mental health, substance abuse issues, that sort of thing. So we're all working to alleviate that, obviously. So just talk about some of the other things that you all do as part of the Hardin County Substance Abuse Coalition. I know you're vast and varied in the work that you all do, but just touch a little bit on that.
Okay. Well, we help with programs in the schools to try to teach education and prevention for substance abuse. We've got grants that help with Narcan and help getting first responders kits to prevent any kind of contact with fentanyl or opioids or things like that. We are working to get a quick response team together, which if someone was to overdose, it would be a team that would go to their house to speak to them about recovery options after the fact.
Oh, great.
We needle exchanges, kits for if you find needles. They're available with Communicare and Lincoln Trail. If you have medications, maybe a loved one's passed away and they had narcotic medications, we've got places where they can dispose of those appropriately. So there's just so many things that we do as a part of this, that the resource guide is just kind of one little part of it. But we're involved in all kinds of things, and this grant has really opened up being able to get treatment options for people who in the past there wasn't financial opportunities. Medicaid and Medicare are now covering substance abuse treatment in places they weren't before. So many things have opened up for the last 2 years.
Yes, because I think that's, for some folks, that's been their barrier. They feel financially that they can't qualify or can't afford to get the assistance that they need. So it's great to know, and I'm sure those resources are in there.
Yes,
hey, these are places that will take all insurances or self-pay, or if you don't have insurance or whatever, so that removes that barrier for folks.
Absolutely. Finances has traditionally been a problem for people getting help, but like you said, insurances are now more open to that. There's just removing the barriers is a big thing. You mentioned one of the things that's missing in Hardin County that I'm glad you brought that up, because I just thought of one. Public transportation is a limitation
Lord,
here.
yes.
And that can affect people's ability to get into treatment, to get back and forth to counseling sessions, to get the help that they need. So I would love to see public transportation come to Hardin County.
Yes, and that has been a need for many, many years that many, many groups have tried to address and work on. So I guess we're getting closer eventually, baby steps. The day will come, I think, but you're right, that is a huge, huge barrier for folks, and it's going to have to be addressed sooner or later. So yeah, we'll get to that. So well, tell us a little bit more about the Center for Behavioral Health. You said you've been there. You are the founder, I do believe. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
I am the program director of Center for Behavioral Health
Yes.
in Elizabethtown and Bowling Green. And what we do is we're a medication-assisted treatment for people with opioid use disorders. We offer medication counseling, case management services, referrals, and it's a really great program. I absolutely love it. And it's one of those Hardin County best kept secrets.
It really is. Unless you're in the industry, a lot of people don't know about it. So do you treat adolescents, adults?
We only focus on adults. They do have to be 18 years or older, unless they've had 3 treatment attempts that failed. But we do have a very specific clientele that we help. They do have to have an opioid use disorder. So we deal with people with narcotic dependence, heroin, fentanyl, those kinds of things. And so, like I said, not every person is right for our program, which is why we always make sure that we know what community resources are available for others. Methamphetamine use is a big problem in Hardin County, and unfortunately CBH offers counseling for that, but there is not necessarily a medication to treat that. But there are great programs out there that help with that. Isaiah House, Journey Pure, Recovery Works. I mean, I could just name them.
Yes. And that's the nice thing. So yes, for our viewers at home that may not be familiar, can you explain the difference, what opioids are, what narcotics are, alcohol, obviously that's a totally different thing, alcoholism, but if you could explain just the different types of drugs that people are unfortunately abusing.
Sure. And like I said, in the past, the opioid epidemic really started from the abuse of pain medications, narcotics. And over-prescribing and misuse led to the problem that we are having. But when those drugs started to be more tightened up, where less were being prescribed, less were found on the street. But unfortunately, what happens when people have an opioid use disorder is removing that drug causes physiological symptoms of withdrawal. And that's not something that people can just stop doing.
Right.
And so the only option then is treatment or continued misuse. With the absence of narcotic medications on the streets, heroin became a big problem. And I'm sure many people have heard about fentanyl now, has also grown to become a problem. And so that is typically opioids. So you might find people are keeping old medications in their bathrooms, or elderly people are not taking their medications and maybe somebody else is taking them. It's one of those things that people need to be really careful of if they have medications that they're no longer using, to take those to an approved dispensary to dispose of them.
And we do have some locations, I believe, in Hardin County where folks can dispose of old medication. Is that correct?
Absolutely, we do. I think Communicare actually has these magnets that people can get, but I believe the fire station, sheriff's department, police stations are currently, and also some of the local Walgreens and things like that will have a box where they can dispose of that medication. And no one's looking for you if you drop those off. It's completely anonymous. You can just drop those things off. You don't have to worry about any kind of problems with that.
Right, and I think that's an issue. We always have to highlight that it is totally anonymous, and no one thinks that you're a pill popper. You have issues if you do that. You can, and I think a lot of them are 24 hours. So if you feel like you need to go at midnight and wear dark glasses and drop it in, then that's okay too. But
yeah, it's just best to get it off the street. Especially with our teenagers, you never know if someone's going to be the wrong influence and want to get into your medicine cabinet. And so as a parent, it's just really important that you try to keep your home safe. So
yeah, because we sometimes think that it's innocent and it just starts small, and it usually does start small.
Absolutely.
But then it can quickly go downhill. So can you talk a little bit with you talk about in the schools about those gateway type drugs and what you all teach students about the world of substance abuse?
Well, there are educators whose focus is teenage, and that's not where my focus is. But of course, any time someone is using something recreationally, it can and probably will lead to problems down the road. And those problems, and once someone starts misusing or abusing drugs, they don't just affect that person anymore. They affect their families, their children, the community at whole. It can lead to criminal justice involvement. It can lead to jail, unemployment, and long-term effects, even if someone is able to stop using, serves their time. We're discovering that people who have had a substance abuse issue in the past, they have felony involvement that keeps them from voting and things like that. Now, there's new laws that have helped with that, but it affects them long term down the road. So someone who was 17, 18 years old who has a drug charge now is 32 is still fighting that and still trying to show that they're not that person and that they deserve to be a part of the community. And so, it really does start at home. It starts with parents talking to their kids about drugs, age appropriately, of course,
right,
to prevent that. But gateway drugs are, in my opinion, anything that someone thinks is going to be okay that leads to abuse. And a lot of times people mention marijuana. And I think one of the reasons marijuana can be a gateway drug is because there's not a lot of facts about overdose or negative physiological symptoms. But the fact remains that because it's illegal, it does lead to criminal involvement. And it does help with, negative things in the community. Narcotic pain medications are another one that can be a gateway. Well, it's prescribed by my doctor, or, I'm allowed to take it for pain. I just didn't use it 2 years ago and I still have that bottle, so it's okay now. Illicit use or having medications lying around can lead to problems in the future. And if you're taking something that wasn't prescribed to you, it's not okay.
That's right. It's not yours. It is not okay. And I always think about, like you said, it's 2 years old. So how has that medication changed? How have you changed? How is it going to impact your body? So please throw it away.
Right.
Throw it away.
And everyone's different. Right. We don't know who will develop a substance abuse related issue where someone might take a narcotic pain medication and they just hate it. It doesn't do anything for them. Anyone can take an opioid and it affect them differently and can lead to abuse or dependence. There is not a certain type of person that can be addicted to drugs. Really anyone can, and that's why this resource guide includes things like identifying an overdose, what to do, because that could be your best friend, your parent, your teacher. It could be anyone.
It really could, and affects all of us. And I like that you said that because it really does impact the community, our economy, our school system, every facet. So it is a community problem. So I'm thrilled that these resources are available because it could be the person that you work next to in a cubicle all day, and you might start noticing some signs, or someone you go to church with, or your kids' friends, or somebody on the baseball team, whatever. So this guide is just going to be absolutely invaluable, and it looks like it's pretty thick, so it looks like there's a lot in there.
There is. We had to make the font kind of tiny.
Yes,
there's a lot in there.
But that's good, and that's what we want. And I thank you and appreciate you for doing that. So again, folks will be able to access them. They can go online, as we talked about. They can look at the Facebook page or Instagram, of course, and they can stop by and pick them up in person, as you said, at the health department, or at the Center for Behavioral Health.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
Yes.
That is awesome. Good deal. And I assume that you'll just be passing them out to folks as
I
you
am. I pass them out all over the place.
Pass them
I
out
always
like
keep
Tic
them in my
Tacs.
car.
See, that's smart. That's the way you got to do it, because I often hear people having conversations and say, do you know about, or where can I get? And it would be so handy just to be like, here's your Hardin County Resource Guide.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I can kind of say my mom was one of the reasons that I put this together. My mom and the ladies at her church were constantly calling me. My grandson's got an opioid use disorder, and my grandson's daughter has a substance use issue. And being able to put this all together, now I can just load those up at the churches.
There
so
you
if
go.
any churches want some, let me know. I can definitely bring those to the churches as well.
That's a great idea, and that is a lot of times where it starts. Yeah. People taking care of people. So,
Yeah.
Well, thank you and Cope for putting this together. I'm looking forward to reading it literally cover to cover to seeing, because I think there's things in there I'll learn about and new things, and you can never have too many good resources. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for the time and effort that you put into that and all the work that you're going to be doing, I know, to keep it updated and circulated. That's good stuff. So we hope that people will take advantage of that.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you
Thanks
so
for
much,
having
Ms.
me.
Sarah, for being here, and thank you for the amazing work that you do, because we know you're in the trenches. It's hardcore work, but thank you for fighting the battle against addiction every single day. We
Thanks so
appreciate
much.
you. Yes, fighting the good fight. So, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of Issues and Insights. I hope you learned a lot. I know I did. I certainly gained a lot of great information. You're definitely going to want to check out the Hardin County Resource Guide. So pick one up at your local health department or Center for Behavioral Health, or check it out online. The easiest way, from the comfort of your own home. Just go to Facebook, the Hardin County Community for Substance Abuse Prevention. We appreciate you tuning in to this edition of Issues and Insights. Hope you'll join us again next time when we talk to another wonderful guest about great things taking place right here in Hardin County. On behalf of HCEC-TV, I'm Kendra Scott. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.